Have you dreamed of hosting a retreat and calling in your aligned audience? Well, guess what? It is one of the most profitable things you can do for your business. And that's why I am here with Elaine Wellman. Elaine is a retreat and event coach and planner, and she's here to talk about today about amplifying your business with easy, profitable retreats. We actually met quite a few years ago. I was at an event and I believe you were her retreat planner, and I had this instant connection with you and said, let's get Elaine on. So I'm going to introduce you and then we're going to dive into this great conversation.
Sounds good.
Elaine's mission is to help coaches, healers, and creative business owners, that's me, create and deliver profitable, epic, in-person experiences with confidence and ease. She believes that live gatherings provide the best platform to deliver your most transformational work. I found that to be true too. I really feel like that in-person engagement. A veteran retreat and event planner, certified coach with a marketing and PR background, she has organized retreats and events for Ellie Brown, the Copywriter Club, and other leaders in the US and international. Hey, Elaine, thanks for joining me.
Thanks so much, Linda. I'm so excited to talk about this today. It's my favorite thing, obviously, to talk about.
Oh, yes, she gets really passionate, and that's I wanted you here because I think so many entrepreneurs consider it and then freeze, right? So let's talk about why you feel retreats and events are one of the most profitable ways to help us grow our business.
Yeah, and I'm going to put a caveat on that. It's profitable when you really do it right, but a lot of people do get in trouble, and that's one reason people freeze. So we can talk about that a little bit later. But one of the reasons it's one of the best ways to grow your business when you do it correctly is that, well, first of all, like you mentioned, I believe really we can do our best, most transformational work when we are in person. There's just nothing else. I mean, this is great what we're doing now. Doing things on Zoom is great. And it's not the same, Linda, as when we were in that room together with the energy and, face to face, belly to belly. There's just nothing like it. And I do want to mention too, that this summer, the US Surgeon General issued a report, an extensive report about basically we're in a pandemic of loneliness right now in this country, and people really need connection. And that's what you get at a greater level when you're in person. So people really are craving these in-person experiences. And to me, when women gather, magic happens. Don't you think, Linda?
I say that all the time. My clients laugh. I held my first business retreat in 2018, right before I met you, and we did all in-house planning. The woman that flew in was probably 40 women. It was the most intimate experience over 2.5 days. Do you know many of them? And then I introduced my new program at that time. Many of them are still clients 5 years later.
Right,
and it moved at different levels because we created a bond, and not just myself with them. And this is what you're talking about, with each other.
Yes.
Relationships formed, business relationships, friendships. There was a depth that I think transformational retreats can give more than our beautiful Zoom meetings and events.
Yeah, we just can't engineer that alchemy of an impersonal group dynamic on Zoom. Like, I mean, I love Zoom. Zoom's great, but it's just not the same. And really, you can't even explain what happens when you're at a powerful, well-facilitated group in person. But let me talk about what it can do for your business, because we mentioned that already too. Like you mentioned, you do create deeper, more profound emotional connections with your attendees. They create it with each other, and you create it with your attendees. And that means that participants are more likely to actively absorb your teachings on a deeper level. And they are more likely to become, like you mentioned, new clients, repeat clients, remain clients, follow and support you and even become advocates for you and your business when you create just an unforgettable experience for them. They're going to go out there and tell everybody, oh my God, I was at this amazing retreat with Linda and da, 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 and that obviously builds your brand image and your reputation. Now, I do want to go ahead.
It creates a ripple effect. And what my question was going to be is, I'd like to define a retreat, because some people think a retreat is with 6 or 8 women and we all get together. But a business retreat, there's various differences, right? So after you bring up what you were going to share, let's talk about that too, so in case they have questions.
Okay, sure. I did just want to pause because while I think like everybody can do their best work at a retreat, I don't want to shame anybody or guilt anybody. Not every coach or business leader is necessarily ready to host a retreat. And it's not that in every season of your business or your life that it's going to be a fit for you. You know, I mean, if you just had a baby, I don't know that you should be doing a retreat unless you've done like 5 of them already. Or, you know, if you're caretaking or your business is just getting off the ground, there's difference. So I don't want anybody to feel like, oh my gosh, let me put that on the list if they're just starting out or, you know, but if you haven't hosted a retreat yet, or it has been a while, my invitation for you is to put it on your radar, put it on your vision board if it's farther down the line, and start thinking about how you can create your greatest work, make the biggest impact possible through a retreat.
I love that. So let's talk about the different kinds. Do they have to be a certain size? Like, share an overview so that someone listening doesn't feel overwhelmed, like it has to be for 100 people. It could be for 20.
And the length too. People get hung up on that. There's a lot of one-day retreats that are very powerful. So if you haven't ever done it before, you could start with a local one-day retreat. That's another way to also keep your costs down if you aren't traveling. But it could be a 5-day retreat in Bali. I mean, Bali's like the kind of be all end all in the vision of retreats. But, this is going to sound weird probably, but like that is almost less important than what you create, what you put together, the journey that you are leading people on.
I think key. I think it's key because I want to experience. I don't want to sit at a desk or a table I want to be part of it. I want the transformation. I got to feel the transformation.
Yeah.
So curriculum or the actual agenda is as well, really, to me, more important than the location.
Well, okay.
But they got to fit together, right?
Yeah. And different people define retreats different ways. So somebody else might define it totally different than I do. But to me, the most transformational experiences are when you pull that locale in to your teaching, when you find a way to have the location support what you're putting out there, what you're teaching, what you're walking people through. And there's different ways to do that. And of course, you could do that in your local town too, because every place we go is different and unique, so what folklore might there be that can support a piece of what you're teaching, or what is the place known for? What can you only do in that place? I mean, every town, there's going to be something that you can only do there, So when you can weave that in a way that makes sense, that enhances what you're teaching, and it could just be food too, it could be the foods that you experience. But I think though that's a great way to kind of elevate your retreat.
Those are great tips and strategies. So you share like that hosting a retreat is the best platform for us to deliver the most transformational and profound work. And you just described how that works and how we experience it as the attendees. So what else would you advise for someone considering a retreat?
Well, I like to work with my clients through this very simple process that I offer to them, because it is really easy to get overwhelmed. There are a lot. I'm not going to like act like it's super, easy to do this. You need some structure. So there's a couple of things that I do with my clients that I can talk a bit about here that allow you to stay organized, make decisions either easier, and kind of anchor your planning. And one is you do need a good planning system so that you don't get overwhelmed. And I have a step-by-step system that I use so that you know what to do when, because there are a lot of things to do. So what do you do first? And that's how some people stop. You mentioned that earlier, like they just don't know how to start, right? So just as an overview, the steps are to define the purpose, look at the profit, which is surprising because people usually think of that at the end. I put that right as number 2. Number 3 is promotion. Number 4 is the detailed planning. Number 5 is the program or the content. Number 6 is perform. That's when you're delivering it. These are all P's if you didn't notice. And 7 is the payoff, like what you're doing after. So, I mean, I go into more detail, but that if you have a system like that, you can really concentrate on what you should be doing and when you should be doing it.
I love that because I could see visually like, oh, all right, it gets us from A to D.
Yeah.
So what does an event retreat planner do? Do they come in and take the vision from the leader and bring it to life and handle all the details? So let's talk about that, because I'm sure everyone's like, ooh, what does Elaine do?
Yeah, so I have like 2 different ways that I work, and what you're describing is what I call done for you services, and that's when you hire an event or retreat planner to handle all those details for you so that you can really just focus on what you do best, and that's serving your clients and delivering that epic experience. And that, of course, is ideal and is the highest level investment. So what I find is that 3-day conferences and bigger events like that really require team or an outside event planner. A lot of retreat planners that really, retreat leaders, it really would eat into their profits too much. So I also offer coaching, and I am a certified coach, and that's where I married the 2. And it's coaching consulting, where we work on every piece of your retreat, from vision to venue to all the P's I just went through, including the promotion and everything. We work through all that together, and you kind of get my eyes. So the client is obviously the one out there researching the venues, but then they can bring them back to me and talk about pros and cons, and I can help them with the negotiation with the venue and the contract, which is a kind of a scary thing for a lot of people. And I can read all their copy and really help them with the content and just all the pieces, but more as a coach consultant than as actually the doer. So that's the 2 ways that I personally work with clients.
And what are one of the ways, and that gives everyone here a bunch of insights, because some may not know that that's an option with the coaching consulting. So I think that was great, because that's a great support platform to help someone move forward. If they go, oh, okay, I have someone that I can turn to
Yes.
look at my stuff, it takes away a little of the angst. So what is a powerful way to craft the experience for the attendees?
Yeah, I like to start by really getting the retreat leader connected to their vision and their deeper purpose. And I actually call this a power purpose, and we could do this really quick, Linda. It's really a simple process, but it can be your anchor for all your decisions, and when you're like getting overwhelmed, bring you back to what you're doing. And a really simple example I can give is, and this goes for any type of event that you're planning, even if it's a dinner party or a bridal shower or baby shower. But here's a great example. Say that you decided to host a birthday party for your grandmother's 100th birthday. Like, what people are going like, why do you host it? What's the purpose? It's a birthday party. It's her 100th birthday. Well, if you just sit with yourself for a minute and say, why do I really want to host a birthday party for her 100th? And you would, obviously you do this for your retreat, but this is the easiest example. If you keep asking why, eventually you are going to land on something that might sound like, I want to honor our matriarch's legacy. We want to bring all of our cousins and our big extended family together on our family land. We haven't been together there for 40 years since we were kids, or, I mean, you're just going to get into this deeper purpose. And every time I tell this story, I can feel it like in my heart. A lot of times I cry, I get a little emotional just telling this story, because it's so much different than it's a birthday party for her 100th birthday, So you go through that for your retreat and get really clear on that purpose. And I actually have a guided meditation that brings you through this too. And I encourage my clients to go back to that when they're getting confused or overwhelmed or not sure. And I have clients that go back to it through the whole planning process and say that it just helps them so much.
Well, you know what? I think it brings us into our deepest souls, why we're here, do what we're doing. I process that way. Everything for me is mission and soul driven. I listen and I birth. But I think a lot of us get into our head, like in a retreat. It's like, I have to do these tasks that we forget our why. And so when the event comes, because we've all attended these, I didn't feel their why. I just felt like I was a ticket at an event, instead of me going, oh, I want to work with Elaine because I can feel her why. Is that what you
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. And then, like, you do have to make a lot of decisions. So it's easy to get off track if you don't have that anchor already defined. So the other things that you can do to really create unforgettable experiences and raving fans is, obviously the content is important, and you want to lead your people on a journey. You've got them, unlike, obviously there's retreats on Zoom. That's a whole nother conversation, but you're with people for a whole day or multiple days. So you really want to be strategic and, high-minded when you are designing each day. That's very important. But start with the end in mind. What are you promising the transformation is, or the result is that they're going to get by the end of this experience? Identify that in advance, obviously, and work backwards. And what is going to get them to end up where you're promising that they are going to go? And like I mentioned, consider your location and how that might be able to support your journey. If you go to Mexico, is there something with the cacao and the chocolate that can like illustrate what you're teaching? And, you can get really, really creative. And those types of experiences too are what really add to the fun, right? And the excitement when people are doing different things. And
question, and we also do so for many business retreats, it's to make an invitation at the end. So it's also planning the curriculum or the teaching, the whole experience, so that it's cohesive with the invitation.
Absolutely.
And I've been to some where the retreat was beautiful. It was great. But then there was this disconnect of like, that's the offer, when the whole retreat it wasn't bringing me on a journey to that. And, it was a beautiful, I'm not taking away from the retreat, but I'm from the attendees' point of view. What do you recommend for that? That's what you meant from going backwards?
Yeah, well, and Linda, believe it or not, some people don't even know to have an offer at the end, or they just don't do it. And that is a huge way to leave a lot of money on the table. And, you're not serving your people if you're just hanging them high and dry, like, okay, we're done. You go now, right? So
honestly, I didn't know people would hold a business retreat without making an offer at the end, because then you serve and then they're left off the ledge. They just fall down, So no, I didn't realize that some do the retreats. Now I could see it if it was part of a yearly program. Of course.
That's different.
With
And
your
people do that,
clients,
of
okay,
course.
I can see that.
Yeah.
But
And that's because you've been around, you're not a newbie. So you're aware that that's, a great piece to have. So
yeah, I'm glad that we brought that up, so that those who are considering a retreat, it could be a beautiful way to fill a program. And or the retreat can be part of a yearly program that you already have. You love and nurture your audience and your clients, the clients that you have. Yes.
But Linda, what you said is really important. The offer has to match the experience. And I've been at an event, like you said, where actually like the content was way over the people's heads, and the offer wasn't the right offer for the people in the room. So it does have to be cohesive, and it does have to be a journey and connected. And so the offer should be the next step that they need after whatever you taught. It could also be like an integration and accountability, container offer. But first of all, unless your retreat is part of a program that you're already running, you should have an offer, and it does have to be really designed properly to be successful.
So that's where your coaching and consulting would come in. If someone says, I would love to do this, and then here's this, how do I get them from A to F so that their experience is an experience that they're happy to have been there, and also leads to the invitation.
Right. And maybe you already have an offer and you want to lead them to that, so then you could go backwards from there. Or maybe, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to create a new offer to go with this experience. It could work either way.
Yeah, I had a new offer and I went backwards because I knew the energy of what I was creating. But I love too is that it doesn't have to be multiple days. Start where you are, right? Start local. Many years ago when Aspire first started, so we're going way back because she's going to be 18 already. So I think 2006 to 9, I was producing women's events, inspirational women's events, 65 speakers, 65 vendors, keynote, 3 days, 400 to 500 women in attendance. I loved it. I did it 2 a year in the states around me. And then I went digital, so I changed everything. But I can remember the community. There's still women all these years later who follow me and said, when are you bringing that back? Because they remember, well, it's about what you spoke about, right? They remember the energy, intention, and the experience of coming together with other women, which goes back to how you started this conversation. We need it now more than ever.
Yeah, we do.
That's why I thought,
we really do.
Yeah, I thought this was an important topic in your expertise to include and amplify, because I think so many people, and I love Zoom. Look, we're gathering here today, ladies. We're talking about deeper level of intimacy with those we're here to serve. And if you've ever gone to a retreat, you know what we're talking about. It's that deeper connection. When you're a leader or a coach or someone that wants to call in, you have a aligned audience, retreats are the best way. So you use the words retreats and events. So what is the difference between each?
Yeah, I mean, I think of an event as a workshop it could be a workshop or more like a conference style, like you were explaining, like what you did before with multiple speakers, or a lot of coaches, especially do, there's not other speakers, it's them for 3 days because they're making a big offer, but it's a different vibe. It can absolutely be a bigger audience. Retreats are often more intimate, and often it's a destination retreat, so you're really getting out of your normal day-to-day. You're not sitting in a conference room, you know, for 3 days. And yeah, and things we already said about when we defined retreats, like that's the difference to me.
So if someone has a retreat idea in their mind now, what's the first place you would have them start? Would it be that why, going deeper?
Yeah,
Or would
that's
it,
where we start.
okay.
And then you know, one of the first things you do is look at the venue, research the venue. And it's so important that early on, which is why profit was number 2 on my list, that you cost out everything. And this is a big mistake people make. They don't cost out everything, and then they slap a price on it, and then they might sell some, and then they go and add all these expenses, and then they don't know what happened and why they lost money, right?
Yeah, and if you're not careful, you can you can go in the hole, especially if you do not have an offer at the end.
Yes, yes. And I actually have a pricing template spreadsheet that I use with my clients, because you don't really need a budget. What you really need to know is how much it's going to cost you per person, so that you know what to charge and you know what to put on your sales page. But you have to, and this is where that power purpose comes in handy too, because it's easy to get caught up in your own excitement and the romance of what you're doing. And, you know, say you're just out, you're not really thinking about your retreat, you're shopping with your girlfriend after brunch, and you see, oh my God, it's the most amazing crystal, this, or the most amazing notebook. It's got our image. I have to buy these for the gift bags, but you only set aside $50 per person or something for the gift bag, and you already spent it, you know, but you're so excited you buy those, and you do that a few times and you've blown your profit margin. You know, I mean, that's like a low cost, depending on how many people you have, a lower cost example, but that's why it's so important to get the price of every detail, everything, including your travel, your meals, your room, your assistant if you're bringing somebody to help on site, which is really, really helpful that if you do have somebody to help you on site. And the other thing newer retreat leaders do is they don't think about what they're going to pay themselves either. But on my magical spreadsheet, there's a line item for that. So you decide what you want to make per person, and then you magically have a calculation of how much to price it at per person, which is what you need to know.
I think that's so powerful, because I remember, like, the team members that you need, all these little nuances and details. So I'm so glad that you covered that. One of the other things I was thinking of too is, if it's someone's first retreat and they're just beginning, do you recommend starting with a one-time retreat, even if they don't make an offer? I'm sorry, a one-day retreat, even if they're not making an offer at the end, so they can get used to doing it before biting off more than they can chew? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's going to vary from person to person, right? And how much they have, you know, facilitated online, or and how comfortable they are with their content, which is also really important. You know, when you're really aligned with what you are putting out there, that's when the magic really happens. So I mean, I don't have any like rules around it, but if you are a little timid, or you're newer, or your audience is maybe not as large, there's no reason to not start with something smaller if that makes you more comfortable, you know. You do also have to have some money usually to put up front for your venue. You usually have to put down a deposit on your venue before you can start promoting it. So that does hold people up. And when I mentioned at the beginning, like not everybody's ready, that would be one of the things to consider, you know. I mean, and I also run across people that want to do retreats so bad and they're just starting, you know, and you do need to have an audience. You can build your audience while you're planning your retreat if you're, you know, really passionate and you really want to do it, because especially for newer retreat leaders, I recommend 9 to 12 months planning. I mean, if you're experienced, you can do it faster and your audience is accustomed to, you know, buying from you and looking out for your offers. But there is a lot going into destination retreats. It's really what I'm talking about here. I mean, if you do a one day, you're not going to need, you know, a year to plan that. But those are some other things to keep in mind.
Yeah, that was a big one too, is finding the location, getting the deposit, because you can't start selling or inviting until you have that. And you have to, a lot of times you put down a chunk of change. And sometimes they say, if you cancel by this time, so there's a chance you may not get the full amount back,
right?
Depending on the contract. One of the things you talked about earlier also is workshops, which is really different, right? That's less of an experience and more someone to hear you talk and teach for a set amount of time. So
right.
The idea of retreats, I love them for current clients. So I stopped many years ago doing that just because life and busy and grandchildren. But I keep feeling led to go, they get VIP days virtual as a group. But I'm like, what if we called that back in? Like, I haven't held a Sacred Visibility live retreat since 2018. The world changed. I went through some stuff, but I keep feeling called that 2025 is like, bring that back, because it was so much fun. It was transformational. I'm still connected with everybody. And like I said, many of them are still clients.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling that urge to reconnect in person. And if I'm feeling it, means my audience is feeling it. And that's a message for all of you too. You know, just put it on your vision board. If you're not ready at this moment, every time you see something, go, ooh, that location would be great. Isn't that a fun thing to do? It's like feeding the energy of it, even if we're not ready right now.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I'll be watching for your event.
Oh yeah, it was fun. I held it in Bristol, Rhode Island. It was magical. As you said, when women come together,
I
in
mean,
collaboration and connection, magic happens.
yeah.
So you have a free gift for everyone. And when I saw the name of it, you guys are going to love this, right? So if you're even considering, if you're even like, you're like, ooh, this is a little scary, but I'm drawn to it, get this gift, okay? Because put it in your file, open it up, look at it so it can come into your energy field, so you can start like energetically dreaming up your divine retreat. And it's called 7 Keys to Creating Mind-Blowing, Money-Making, Transformational Retreats with Ease and Confidence. It's right below this video. Please download it now. Elaine, tell them what they can expect in that.
Well, I like that you said get it for inspiration, because it does have a lot of photos that are very inspiring of retreats that I've been on and done. And it's just a quick kind of overview of 7 main points that you need to remember to help you get started. Now, the fun thing is, when you do sign up, you're going to get on my email list, of course, and then you're going to get some more awesome resources from me, including that visioning meditation. And you'll get an invitation to my free monthly jam sessions that are on Zoom, that include a focused training and a live Q&A where you can ask me anything. And those are totally free. And you'll find out about my Facebook group too. So even if you're just thinking about it down the road, I encourage you to just grab the tips.
Yeah, and I noticed that you were doing the jam sessions. I'm like, what a value that is for your community to be able to go, let me tap in. And as I've said, I've circled up with Elaine, and She is so well recognized in the field for doing this magical work and helping us do our magical work. So please download the gift below, and don't just download it, open it, read it, implement it, stay connected with her. You know, you can't grow a thriving business if you download something and then let it sit on your computer. Open it, dive in, and again, stay connected. Elaine, I'm so grateful that you're here with me. I know you inspired so many to start dreaming up their retreat so they can serve at a deeper, I think, more intimate and authentic level. I think it's powerful.
Thanks, Linda. It was really, really fun. And I loved connecting with you and everybody listening today.
Thank you, my friends, and thank you, Elaine.